on, and
They're cut.
white shirt, and one guy.
How many are there?
There's 3 of them.
How'd you get away?
I tripped one of the guys and took off.
Why don't you sit up?
What kind of weapons are that?
The 3 bad guys are all guys.
That's my weapons.
Just sit up. Sit down, let us down. What kind of weapons do they have?
One's got a 9mm. No, all of them have a 9mm. One, 2 of them.
Which one got 2?
The one that has,
See, one's got a Hawaii shirt on.
yeah, University of Hawaii
What
security.
else do you want?
I don't know. I had like a meeting in the Commons, and they busted in the bed, and then they stopped the dude, and they left the
White males.
white males.
Doorways. We've got 2 on that side and then 2 sets of double doors. Okay, then at the end of the hall there's 2 sets of double doors.
Yeah. We got 1 here and then 2 farther down.
How far?
Next
Should I
to
take here?
First one?
About 20? Yeah. Okay, that's fine. Yeah. We're straight across from each other. See across from that there? Yeah, we got 2 side by side here. Our first 2 is right next to each other. Right across. Cover the wing. We'd rather cover in here. We're going to do it the way it is. Okay. But well, since you go to the door.
We're moving? Okay.
Go in the door, we'll kill him. Get out! Get out!
I think we found him.
Get out now! We got out in the hall and talk. We got prisoners and we don't want to, we'll kill them if we have to.
This one?
We're going to send out one guy, he's going to tell you what we want. If you touch him, we're going to kill one of the kids.
Who is it you're sending out?
You'll see him when he comes out.
Is he one of you or one of the hostages? You understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying. Just remember what I told you. You bother him, we're killing one of them. You got it?
How many of there are you in there?
That's for you to find out too, isn't it?
What is it you want?
We want to get out of here.
Will you just talk to me the way it is, all right?
Now I want to send one out. We're going to see what's going on.
Why don't you just talk to me? I can hear you fine.
He's coming out. Touch him. Don't know what's going to happen.
Hands up where we can see them.
Hands up. Keep your hands up. Look straight at me. Straight at me. Keep coming. Keep coming.
Get down. Put your other hand behind your back. Put your other hand behind your back.
Okay, what's going on?
What's your name?
You guys are shoulders. We kill one.
Why don't you send someone else to come out and we'll talk?
We'll send one if we get.
Why Why don't you send someone else so we can continue the conversation? What is your name? What is your name?
Don't worry about my name.
Well, I'd kind of like to know who I'm talking to.
Talk to the man who's in charge.
Still two more. Still two more. One being asked by the police car on the radio.
So I guess we're still talking, but I guess you want a police car with a radio, is that right?
That's part of it.
Well, that's all we know. Apparently your man's not telling us everything.
Is he where he can see me? Like,
Apparently your man's not telling us everything. Why don't you tell me what what it is you want? What else is it you want? What are you doing now? We don't even want anyone to get hurt. Look, all you guys done so far is committed a burglary. It's no big deal. The courts in this system will probably get probation, but if some...
yeah, you stay here. Just to make a distraction.
Why do you ask that?
I'm sure this is where he wants to do his blanket thing. He's gonna have some issue.
What do you think? Huh? Well, sometimes he's got a mind of his own. He wants to come out. Why don't you let me talk to him?
What was this gonna happen?
He hasn't had it. He just wants to go back. Well, he's still talking to the officer.
Go get... No. Then you're not getting a blanket. We're not getting anywhere like this. You know we're not going to let him come back in. No, that's not going to work either.
One of the hostages, you'll get a blanket.
Tell him, have a hostage, come to the door, open the door all the way, come to the end of the door out by the hallway. We'll take the hostage and throw the blanket in.
How about 2 hostages? All right. How about 1?
Bad guys, 4 hostages.
Okay. Whenever you're ready.
You take the hostage. I'll give you the information.
Whenever you're ready, send them out.
Walk right toward me.
Throw that blanket in.
Not till I see the hostage.
She's right there in the doorway.
I can't see
Stand
her. Take her down.
there. Close the door.
No.
Close the door.
What was that?
You like that hand?
Look her in the eye.
Let go of the door. Let go of it. Let go of the door. I'll shoot your hand. I swear to God. Let go of it. Let the door. My friend's name's Twan.
Never mind, we don't want you.
Why don't you just put down your guns and walk on out? Everything will be all right.
How about my hand grenade?
Oh, that would be nice.
What hand grenade? Send one out and we'll shut the door for you.
Yeah, I like even numbers, man.
Hey, we know there's 3. You got 2. You got a partner.
Oh, shit.
You got a partner. Your partner's singing like a canary out here.
Now, oh, give me the hick told me he already knew I wanted a car for radio.
Okay, Perky.
Peppy, stupid.
Okay, Peppy, stupid.
My car.
Get out! Get everybody down! Everybody down! Put your hands on your back! Hands on your back! Move!
On your back.
Move!
Hands on your back.
Joe or Jim, whatever your name is.
I didn't tell you my name.
I know, I'm gonna call you something. What do you want us to call you? Calling people names doesn't make me feel good. Go inside. Better tell him.
What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? Huh?
Come on, let the guy come out.
Told you to back off, man. You just won't back off.
Get down! Everybody down! Move! Now! 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 Hands behind your back! Hands behind your back! Hold your hands down! Get down on the ground. Face down on the ground. Hands behind your back. Behind your back. Hands behind your back.
Janitor, he comes walking out with some cleaning stuff, some headphones on.
That was the idea.
Yeah,
That
then
was
he
the
says,
idea.
he goes,
Well, there was two other janitors, but
Yeah.
we just passed two of them.
So it's
Like,
like,
so
all right,
now,
you
playing
with
around?
this or not? You a janitor? Yeah, I just started a week ago. And they said, I don't think I'm going to work here much longer though.
that was a race in the hole. That's what we were counting on.
That was funny.
And I kept listening. I was hoping to hear him take a couple of you guys out. And
Well, he could have, but that's after we thought he was
Well, we
for
let
the
him go.
real
See,
thing.
Yeah, but he
he
never
didn't
got
find
the
it
box
clear, and I
back.
said, well, he's not with us. So I just let him up, and I'd come back, and as I let him up, I looked down, and I see the gun in the box. Wait a minute, there's a gun in the box. He said he could have grabbed it. I don't think he could have.
No, he never.
Because him and I never left
He was
covered, and we
covered,
were
yeah.
covered. Which way now?
Who else is in the room?
Somebody shoot.
Yeah, I did.
Joe.
He shouldn't. That's why he doesn't get many dates. Capture the handcuffs on her. Try to get the truth out of her. Tracking her?
You got a gun? Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
There's one bad guy in there armed with a handgun, and there's one hostage somewhere, and there's 2 rooms inside there. So one big room and a smaller room back towards the back.
Is there any access to the small room? Can you get out a different door?
No? Oh, you didn't hear? If we go into the back room, is there any other exits from that room? No.
This guy's short and stocky, not a bad guy.
Fight off and him open the door.
Yeah, I guess.
Do the
We're
old
gonna end
police
up
come
doing
out?
the same crap.
I know. Please come out. No, not gonna come out.
The hostage was last seen back towards the small room. It's a hostage wearing? It's a boy or a girl? It's a boy? You know what he's wearing? Okay, and there's the other room right there.
Where'd the air go?
What's the boy look like? Can you hear me?
Mr. Stone's room. Oh, this is gonna work out real well.
You the first door. Can you hear me? Dan, go to the next room up and see if you can see if it's locked. See anything down? I see you back there.
You in that back room, get up, hands up, come on out.
The black t-shirt. Can you hear me? The radio? Why didn't you do it?
What do you want me to do?
You're the gun. Come on out. You with the blonde hair, come on out.
What do you want?
Michael Myers, you won't hurt me, right?
No, we're not gonna hurt you.
You're gonna shoot me, right?
No,
Come on, your hands up.
you haven't hurt anybody.
I know what you guys do. I see cops. You're not gonna shoot me, are you?
Come on, we're not
your
gonna
hands up.
shoot you.
Leave your weapon on the ground. Come on out. Come out with your hands up. You won't be hurt. No.
What's your name?
What do you mean, no? I'm standing right here.
Come on out. Hands
Drop the gun. He's got a gun. He's got a rifle. Drop the gun.
Drop
Put it down. Put your hands on
Hands
top of
up.
your head. On top of your head. Turn around. Turn around.
it. Dude, drop the gun.
And he's got nowhere after. He's got a gun in his hand.
Drop the gun.
Walk back. He's dropped the rifle. He's still got a gun in his holster on the right side.
Put your hands on your head.
Ben, let me talk. Keep walking. Keep walking. Keep walking. Now get down on your belly.
Watch the rim. Watch the rim.
No, we couldn't see the gun.
Let's have sex with you. Oh, wait. Go ahead and handcuff him first, then.
Who else is in there?
Nobody.
Ninja boy, who's in there?
Nobody. Squeal. Make him...
Squeal, but I don't think he wants
You have to get your wrist in there.
Anybody coming?
Get there, take the big one, you guys come right on by it, and the little one.
Got that?
You taking it first?
I'm taking the first one, you guys just shoot me right there.
Where's the little one at?
Straight in, all the way to the back of the ring. On three.
Get out of there!
Everybody down! Everybody down! He's on the desk! On the desk! Come on out of there! Come on out of the desk! Come on out! Put your hands up! Put your hands up!
Put him behind your back. Put him behind your back. See that again.
An hour's the first room, Danny.
Who else is in here? Who else is in here? Lock here. Okay, there's still short one according to that girl.
No, that's what she said.
No.
She said two hostages. She said, she described this guy.
That's
She
B.
said he was a good guy.
They have a gun?
Yeah.
It's loaded. It's cocked.
Put it in his mouth and pull the trigger. I seen him grabbing for it.
As I'm going in the room, I realized I don't have the flashlight. Go ahead. Go.
Here we go again.
visually clear to Jim Reed. No, the cafeteria's off on its own. I wanted to come in this way because it's like, if you'd been inside that auditorium with that meat, it's trying to get there. Okay, there's all four go from here. 1, 2. I don't see anything. Did you? Is there another entrance here?
There's that upstairs one and there's that one there.
Okay, to the auditorium on the left. Just carry this whole big thing, then we'll go in.
You think he's
That'll
in?
be in all 4 of the 5 of them.
Probably.
How did you feel about that?
Well, didn't like it.
Okay, 4 to the body, 2 to the head. Down. Feet high, come on, man. Hold it. Hold on now. 4 to the body, 2 to the head. Oh, roll him, oh. Watch out, it's gonna go off. He's got a gun. Hold it. Come out. Come out. Hurry up. Come get the headshot. Headshot. 2 and 2. Put ammo in there. Too cold. Shoot! How many times you shoot? Get over here! Hold it. Down! Fire out! Hurry up! Shoot him off! All right, back here, let's go! Gotta stand up back here. 2 rounds! Let's go! All right, let's go! Move it! Get out! Shoot!
That's how those Marines felt.
You guys are being too easy. Come on, get down there. You fired that gun here. I want to see you shoot that thing. Why you tired away? Turn away now. Get the camera. Hurry up. Get Watch out. Here goes. Let's go. Over here. To the body, to the head. Keep the gun. Fuck your head. Because you're flipping your cover. Get your head cover. Hurry up. You shot too many times. Other target. Because you're fucking other target. Let's go. Get a picture, Joe. Come on, shoot. Other target. You shot too many times. You shot too many times. All day. Shoot it. A man right now. Gotta think about this, you lay with a man. I think it's lay with men. That's how you think about it. Come here, back here. Hurry. Shoot off. Okay, here we go. Hurry, let's go. Get ready. Hurry up.
Anytime, Lily.
high? Dale?
I'm low.
You and me?
Okay, Jeff, are you ready?
Yeah.
Line is ready. Fire.
Make sure you reload behind cover, Jeff. Damn, Jesse, it's only supposed to be 4 rounds.
Oh, that's enough.
Perfect score, JR.
Come on. Whoa, here we go. You ain't gonna make it. You reload over here. I'm not short. You ain't gonna make it. You gotta go. Here goes me short, mister. Hurry up. Take this in. You shoot. Hurry. You shot till he falls. Just fuck shooting. What is wrong with you, man? Give me 4. Hurry up. What the fuck is wrong with you? Hurry. Okay, here we go.
Let's go.
He's got a gun. Hurry up. Look out. Behind the barrel. Behind the barrel. Oh, no. Oh, Dan.
but you're out of ammo, and you still got another bad guy down there. That's fine.
He's gonna live. He's gonna live.
Got a knife? Yeah, he's still coming.
Jesse.
Put your hand in the air where I can see it.
Oh, wow.
You, right there. And when you count to 3, and you go with your hand, we'll shoot you. 1, 2, keep down.
Oh,
Okay,
sorry.
do that one up. Do that one up. All right. Game, Derek. Yes, I got it.
Don't move your hand.
Down your head.
Face down. Face down.
I am.
That means your head.
I don't see anybody. Ah.
Simulated gun.
Got any weapons on you?
Not yet. Why?
Your hands up in the air. Laser sight. Your head will explode. Just let it.
I don't think we, stay up the top of that ladder. Stay up the top of that ladder.
Good.
There's a guy in this door just back to you, Dale.
That one?
Just no one right there to your left.
Find it. Find him. Out.
The girls or the boys? He's in that room there? Oh.
Smells him. I just can't figure out where it's coming from.
Okay, Jerry.
You're saying, Jerry. You gotta be looking right at him.
They can't see.
Is it dark up there? Oh, it's
Yeah.
dark, you can't see him.
He wants to bite my ass.
Get thunder, my friend.
Got him. Come here. Find him. Get him. Get him.
I want you on the camera, Dan.
Camera thing.
I thought he bite mine.
Come on.
No, he knows where.
Up. Get him.
Yeah.
Get him. Out. Out. Come here. Sit.
Let's call him on the phone, 911. Oh, I thought you said they were calling us.
Just one more guy.
Two more.
Do they,
Please, that guy had him in the glove.
do they,
Racer did.
It'll be like a on-the-job training.
he's the second door from the end on the left. What about the other guy? Is he up where he's dead?
Good boy. Find him.
Jeff.
Out. Thunder. Find him.
There's a steel band.
Well, I think you better not to move.
Anybody in this room?
Find him.
He ain't got the heat book on his face.
Yeah.
Your boss sure what
See, he's picking up a smell. Oh, there he is, right there. Good boy. Good dog. Sit. Okay, come on down.
Not sure I would.
And wouldn't bite me.
Back. Find him.
No.
Did you guys find him? He's in the closet.
You can tell when he changes his breathing pattern. He's not even smelling now.
Come on. Find him.
See how he quit breathing out of his mouth and smelling?
Mm-hmm.
He's got a pinpoint on him.
Ooh. I think we got a winner.
Did we tell you we taught the dog how to open it?
That's the way you hit on dope is, Dale. That kid got dope on him?
In the aftermath of a brutal crime, one of the toughest questions is, could it have been prevented? For years, Kurt Thompson was branded the town bully of Toulon, Illinois, known for his history of harassment and intimidation. But then one night in March 2002, Thompson crossed a line. and in less than an hour, 3 people were dead. In the wake of Thompson's rampage, many in town struggled to understand why he'd finally killed. And they wondered if they had missed the warning signs that might have allowed them to stop this bully from going too far. Toulon, a small farming community of 1,400 people, located in the wide open fields of western Illinois.
The town wakes up early in the morning with the farmers coming into town for coffee at 5 a.m. and a lot of nights you can roll the sidewalks up by 11.
Police Chief Robert Taylor says Toulon is a quiet place with little crime to speak of.
On a normal day, there may not be any calls to handle. Maybe a traffic ticket or two, a barking dog complaint.
Many residents track those complaints by listening in on police radio scanners.
There's a lot of people in this county that probably have a police scanner for a pillow. Just any radio traffic is coffee shop gossip the next morning or within hours, actually.
23855, second officer report.
U.S. Marshal Service in Des Moines.
On March 22, 2002, Tammy Wilkinson, a local newspaper reporter, was at home listening to her scanner. At around 7:45 p.m., she heard the voice of Stark County Sheriff's Deputy Adam Stryker.
I heard Adam radio into the sheriff's office, tell him that he was serving paperwork.
Stryker, a 23-year-old rookie officer, said that he was about to execute an arrest warrant at 207 East Thomas Street in Toulon. Wilkinson recognized the address as that of her estranged uncle, Kurt Thompson. A lifelong resident of Toulon, Thompson had a reputation for unpredictable and occasionally violent behavior. He would often drive through town in his truck, threatening his enemies.
394. Sir?
After a few minutes, Wilkinson heard the police dispatcher make a routine status check to Deputy Stryker.
The dispatcher radioed in. Adam didn't respond back. So a few more minutes went by, and the dispatcher radioed for a status check again. Adam didn't respond again.
At about this time, Jimmy Dyson, who was then Stark County Chief Deputy Sheriff, received a page.
The call of words out of the dispatcher's mouth at that time is, "We can't find Adam." And then there was something mentioned about Thompson. Well, as soon as they said Thompson, the first thing that I think of is Kurt Thompson. So I just floored my truck and headed for Toulon.
Toulon Police Chief Robert Taylor got a similar call. When he heard that Kurt Thompson might be involved, he reacted immediately.
Well, I threw on a gun belt and a coat and grabbed a radio and ran in my squad car and headed that direction.
By now, the dispatcher, still unable to reach Stryker and fearing for his safety, had also alerted officers Mark James and Brian Rewerts from the nearby towns of Bradford and Wyoming. Within minutes, they arrived in Kurt Thompson's neighborhood, unsure of what to expect. As soon as Bradford Officer James turned onto Miller Street, he spotted Deputy Stryker's squad car racing toward him.
I noticed the hood was up, the damaged, lights were on. Couldn't tell who was driving, it was impossible to see. The vehicle attempted to approach me. At that time, I put my car in reverse.
Police Chief Taylor watched as Officer James tried to avoid a collision.
You could see the Bradford squad car driving down the street in reverse, trying to get away from the county squad car.
Police began to believe Kurt Thompson might be behind the wheel of Deputy Stryker's car. As the vehicle raced backwards down the street, Officer James decided the chase had gone on long enough.
About in this area here is where I turned my car, blocked the road off here the best I could. Thompson then gunned it.
He turned his squad car crossways in the road, and the county car collided with it.
Officers Taylor and Rewerts now approached the vehicle.
I pulled up within a few inches of the back of the county car to pin it in.
He come back up, he couldn't go forward. I exited my vehicle, drew my sidearm, and came out at an angle this way.
We both started shouting orders. The next thing I heard was a shot. It sounded like a shotgun. Mark dove to the ground. I thought he had been shot.
Just felt a push air across my face. I jumped to the ground and returned fire.
After the shotgun shot was shot towards Officer James' direction, Kurt Thompson started shooting in the direction that I was in.
There was rapid and nonstop shots being fired.
He was firing at everyone. Then after the shot stopped, there was a standoff where we waited to see if he had been shot before we approached the vehicle, waiting for backup.
Help finally arrived in the person of Jimmy Dyson.
So I pull up behind all the squad cars that was there, and I couldn't figure out what the hell. I get out of the car, I grab my shotgun. I run up and I said, what the hell is going on?
The officers quickly briefed Dyson on what little information they had. But there had been a shootout with Kurt Thompson. He was armed, sitting inside Deputy Stryker's car, and Stryker himself was unaccounted for. With cover from the other officers, Dyson approached Thompson to put an end to the standoff.
So I take my shotgun and I aim it at Kurt's head, and I start walking up towards the car. So I got to the car, and I stuck the barrel of the shotgun right inside of his head with one hand, and just pushed it against his head, because I figured, well, if he moves, I'm gonna know it, because I wanted him to move, and I wanted to shoot him.
But Thompson didn't move. Police quickly pulled him out of the car and cuffed him. In the shootout, Thompson had sustained a bullet wound to the face. He was taken to a hospital in nearby Peoria. Back on the scene, Jimmy Dyson immediately set about trying to find Adam Stryker. It didn't take him long.
Went running back up to Kurt's house, and it was dark. We found Adam laying on the ground with his head from the door. We couldn't find a pulse, and at first you couldn't even tell that it was a body.
23-year-old Sheriff's Deputy Adam Stryker had been shot in the chest. He was pronounced dead at the scene. It had been less than an hour since the dispatcher first called for assistance. One officer was dead, and 60-year-old Kurt Thompson was in custody. But even as dozens of emergency vehicles descended on the town, authorities were just beginning to realize the full extent of Kurt Thompson's rampage.
They still didn't know that Giesenhagens had been murdered.
Come on, let's go!
On the night of March 22nd, 2002, the normally quiet farming community of Toulon, Illinois, was thrown into chaos. A lifelong resident named Kurt Thompson, a man many described as the town bully, had gunned down rookie sheriff's deputy Adam Stryker as he tried to serve an arrest warrant at Thompson's home. Following a fierce shootout, police had arrested Thompson for the murder. Earlier that night, the Stark County Sheriff's Office had received dozens of phone calls from Toulon residents alarmed by the gunfire. Amid the confusion were two calls from 71-year-old Ardell Giesenhagen, one of Kurt Thompson's neighbors. When police finally responded to her calls, they learned that Thompson's rampage had actually claimed 2 more lives. Ardell told police that she had been at home that evening when she received a frantic phone call from her 10-year-old granddaughter, Ashley, who lived across the street.
She said, "Grandma, come quickly. Kurt Thompson just killed Daddy and hurt Mommy." Right in front of her.
As quickly as she could, Ardell Giesenhagen ran the 100 yards to her son's house. Ardell told police that when she opened the door, she saw the scene of the crime that Ashley had witnessed just minutes before. Ardell's daughter-in-law, Janet Giesenhagen, was lying on the floor with shotgun wounds to her arm and chest. She was alive, but barely breathing.
I saw Janet on the floor. Her hand was blown off at the wrist. She wanted a pillow because she couldn't breathe, so I got her a pillow and a blanket so she wouldn't go into shock.
As Ardell went to get the blanket, she came upon her son, Jim.
And I had to walk past the basement steps. And that's when I saw my son, and I knew he was gone. Because he had a hole in his head, forehead, and he was laying in a pool of blood.
Ardell says she called the sheriff's office twice before she got any response. She says it was only after Thompson was in custody that help finally arrived. Janet Giesenhagen was rushed to a hospital in Peoria. She would die before she arrived of severe blood loss. Jim Giesenhagen was pronounced dead on the scene. Authorities now had 3 fatalities on their hands and at least 3 crime scenes. Realizing the investigation would be too large for the limited resources of Toulon and Stark County, that same night they called in the Illinois State Police. The case was assigned to Detective Dale King.
I arrived shortly after the incident took place, about the time ambulances were pulling away from the scene. It was still chaos. Everybody was still trying to sort out what had happened.
While it was clear that Kurt Thompson had committed the crimes, King still had to gather the evidence to prosecute him.
It's not a whodunit, but we still have to prove whodunit.
King began that same night by interviewing Kurt Thompson's wife, Virginia. She told King that she'd been at home in bed all evening and had heard nothing unusual. King also questioned Virginia Thompson about anything that might have set her husband off that day.
She said Kurt was a very private person, and if something was bothering him, that he probably wouldn't have told her about it.
The next morning, King began canvassing Toulon for witnesses. He quickly found one, a neighbor of Kurt Thompson's named James Beatty. Beatty told American Justice the same story he told police. At around 7:45 p.m. on March 22nd, Beatty had been at home watching TV when his wife's father called. Beatty's father-in-law told him that he had been listening to his police scanner when he heard that Sheriff's Deputy Adam Stryker was on Beatty's street. Beatty told his father-in-law to hold the phone while he went out to the porch to see what was going on. He saw the young deputy driving towards Kurt Thompson's house, 200 feet away.
So I came back in and I said, well, he's in front of the Thompson's house. And that's when her dad said, don't let him go to that house by himself.
Beatty now went back outside to warn Deputy Stryker.
He was already in front of Thompson's door. And I turned around to come back in the house. And as I just got to open the screen door, and I heard the shot. And I told my wife, I go, I think he just shot that officer.
Beatty, stunned and unsure of what he may have just heard, decided to cross the lawn to investigate. As Beatty neared the house, he spotted Kurt Thompson.
I could see Kurt kicking something on the ground. And there was still smoke on the porch light. So I went to get closer.
Then Beatty said Kurt Thompson caught sight of him.
I mean, that was a very intense moment. I didn't know if he had the gun in his hand still or, you know, and he looked right at me. Stared at me for about a second or two, and then went to the back of his house.
Relieved not to have been shot himself, Beatty stood frozen on the lawn. He could hear the radio from Deputy Stryker's car parked in the street.
And they kept calling his car number. There was an urgency in the dispatcher's voice that you know, he's not answering his radio, something's wrong, you know.
Beatty continued to watch as Kurt Thompson crossed the front yard, got into Deputy Stryker's car, and sped off. Beatty says Thompson turned at the corner and headed straight for the home of Jim and Janet Giesenhagen.
You could see the squad car had its lights on, and it didn't even slow up, and it slammed into the back of the Giesenhagen's vehicle in the driveway. We thought, well, he's knocked out, you know, it's over with.
But it wasn't. Beatty watched in disbelief as Kurt Thompson got out of the squad car and ran to the Giesenhagen's door.
And he started kicking the door.
Janet Giesenhagen then came to the door.
She said, "What are you doing?" And boom, he shot. You could see the blast from the shotgun. You could see the flare from that. Then he went into the house, and there was another shot.
At this point, Beatty ran back to his house, gathered his family, and called the sheriff. Investigator Dale King learned that Thompson soon left the Giesenhagen house. Minutes later, he was confronted by officers in the street, and the shootout began. After interviewing witnesses to the three murders, authorities now believe they understood what had happened. But the question remained, why had Kurt Thompson carried out his rampage? In the spring of 2002, Toulon, Illinois, was a town in mourning. The Giesenhagens were laid to rest on March 28th in the family plot. A day earlier, Deputy Adam Stryker was buried in a ceremony that drew over 500 law enforcement officers from all over the country.
Adam wanted to be a cop probably since he was maybe 3 years old. Grew up watching the TV shows Chips, Cops, and Adam 12.
Adam had only been on the force for a little over a year. His murder was a shock to family members, especially since the Strykers, who live in Kewanee, Illinois, 14 miles away, knew nothing about Kurt Thompson or why he would have gunned down the young officer.
As far as we know, Adam never heard of him. He never mentioned him. We don't believe he knew anything about him or what he was getting into that night.
But residents of Toulon did know Thompson and his reputation as a bully who would often drive around town intimidating anyone he perceived to be his enemy. But few imagined he would go so far as to commit murder.
Even though Kurt was mean and vindictive and just ornery, I would have never thought him to do something like that.
It was now up to Detective Dale King to discover why Kurt Thompson carried out 3 brutal murders. Over the following months, authorities spoke to hundreds of people who knew Thompson.
Everyone we talked to, co-workers and neighbors, people around town, everyone just said he was just mean. He was just a bully.
Kurt Thompson was born in Toulon in 1942, the youngest of 4 children. Tammy Wilkinson is Kurt Thompson's niece. She told American Justice about some of the factors that may have led to Thompson's belligerent nature.
The family didn't have a lot. My grandfather had met my grandmother as a laborer working on a construction crew that built the highway. He moved with his construction crew to wherever, jobs were available. So he would periodically come home, but there were long stretches in there that he was never there.
Wilkinson says Thompson's mother had to raise the children alone, a task for which she was not well suited. The lack of a nurturing home life continued in Thompson's early teens. His mother often sent him to work on local farms to save herself the cost of feeding and housing him. At the age of 16, Thompson's girlfriend, Virginia Parrott, became pregnant. The two quickly married, and the couple had a baby girl. To support his new family, Thompson dropped out of school and worked hard physical jobs. He bounced around for years before eventually finding work at a coal mine. It was here Detective King learned of Thompson's reputation as a loner and a troublemaker.
He was very belligerent. If a supervisor told him to do something, he'd be very slow about doing it, and sometimes they have to tell him 2 or 3 times.
Thompson worked at the mine for almost 17 years. Just 3 years short of receiving his pension, he was fired for insubordination. In the mid-1980s, Don St. John hired Thompson to work at his farm. St. John says he became one of Thompson's few friends.
We got to know one another pretty well, at least in generalities. I had a reasonable respect for him, and I think he did for me too, and we didn't have any problems.
But St. John says he was aware that Thompson had a reputation for intimidating people in town. The last time St. John saw Kurt Thompson before the shooting rampage, he says his behavior was typically irrational.
He was telling about his neighbors, how they'd done this or that to him, and he's going to kill them, and hated them.
Two of those neighbors, Detective King learned, were Jim and Janet Giesenhagen. The couple had lived together in Toulon for 20 years. Jim owned an air conditioning business, and Janet was a clerk at a local grocery store. They lived with their children in a house behind Jim's mother's home.
I saw him every day. I mean, he generally came over and checked, especially after his dad was gone. He'd come over and check on me to make sure I was okay.
The only apparent problem the Giesenhagens had was their neighbor, Kurt Thompson.
He used to come up and down our alley, and he stalked me when I was in the garden. He'd sit and watch me when I was doing my gardening.
The Giesenhagens' feud with Kurt Thompson began in 1986, when one of his dogs bit their son, Sean.
I was 6 years old. I went over there, and I was just petting the dog. The dog snapped at me. My mom pretty much flipped out.
The Giesenhagens pursued civil action against Thompson. He was eventually cleared of any wrongdoing, but only after spending thousands of dollars in legal fees. Now the Giesenhagens were in his sights.
From that point on, they were enemies because that was them standing up to Kurt.
He would chase me and my friends with the truck. He would follow us if we were just walking around town. There was incidences where my mom had come home and said he tried to run her off the road. Same with my dad.
Giesenhagens reported on several occasions that Thompson would drive past their house. Sometimes he would just pass by. Sometimes he would stop and stare at them. And there were times he would have words with them. And since it was all verbal and not a specific threat, there really wasn't much could be done.
But then, in the summer of 1999, Kurt Thompson's behavior turned violent. In a fit of rage, Thompson, in his pickup truck, chased down a co-worker of Jim Giesenhagen's, got out and assaulted him with a hammer. Authorities believed the attack was meant to intimidate Giesenhagen. Thompson was arrested, charged, and found guilty of assault. In August of 2000, he was sentenced to 2 years of probation. One condition of the probation was that he was to have, quote, no contact, directly or indirectly, with James Giesenhagen or his immediate family. But as Detective King learned, rather than toning down his behavior, Kurt Thompson pushed the boundaries further. Seemingly intent on triggering a confrontation, Thompson continued to drive through the alley behind the Giesenhagens' house. To provide evidence of Thompson's ongoing harassment, Jim Giesenhagen installed a surveillance camera on his garage.
Mr. Giesenhagen was videotaping the alley behind his house to show that Curtis was driving through and trying to intimidate him.
Worried for himself and his family, Giesenhagen took the surveillance tapes to Illinois State's Attorney James Owens. Giesenhagen claimed the tapes were clear evidence of a violation of Thompson's probation. But Owens did not agree.
Those tapes were reviewed by the state's attorney's office by me 3 times, though it was clearly a form of harassment, but it was, in my opinion, not a violation of the order of probation.
But Kurt Thompson would end up violating his probation in another way. By October 2001, he had failed to pay court costs associated with his assault case, and a warrant was issued for Thompson's arrest. It was this warrant that Deputy Stryker tried to serve the night Kurt Thompson gunned him down. During their 15-month investigation, authorities came to believe that Kurt Thompson's shooting spree was simply a cold-blooded killing. But as his trial approached, Thompson's defense attorney would counter that at the time of the murders, his client was insane and therefore not responsible for his actions. In a town where everyone knew Thompson and his reputation, many wondered just how effective that defense would be. In the fall of 2002 in Toulon, Illinois, prosecutors were putting together their case against 60-year-old Kurt Thompson. Thompson stood accused of murdering his neighbors, Jim and Janet Giesenhagen, and police deputy Adam Stryker.
But it was not a question of who did what. I mean, the defendant was caught in Adam's squad car. There were eyewitnesses, forensic evidence.
Prosecutors also announced that because of the severity of the charges, they would be seeking the death penalty. The difficult task of defending Kurt Thompson fell to court-appointed attorney Matthew Maloney.
I had heard about the incident on one of the local news stations, and the next day I got a telephone call from Judge Shore and asked me if I would be willing to accept the representation of the defense in the case, and I told him that I would.
As Maloney began preparing his defense, he says, he quickly settled on 2 strategies that might help his client. The first was the question of Kurt Thompson's sanity.
I thought that he was insane. I thought that he could have been insane and mean, or he just could have been mean.
To find out, the attorney hired a psychologist and a psychiatrist to examine Thompson. They at least partially confirmed Maloney's suspicion. The defense experts believed that Thompson was legally insane the night of March 22nd, 2002. That he suffered from mental disease that made him severely delusional, and that he harbored feelings of persecution.
Kurt genuinely believed that there was some unidentified group of people in authority who were conspiring against him, and that this had gone on for a long, long period of time.
Maloney's second strategic move was to submit a motion for a change of venue. This came after Maloney had commissioned a poll of Stark County residents. Over 500 of the 600 respondents said they believed Thompson was guilty.
The poll results came out. They were devastating.
The trial judge agreed and ruled that the venue be moved 80 miles northeast to Lee County, Illinois. It was here on July 18th, 2003, that the trial of Kurt Thompson began. Prosecutor James Owens opened for the state.
The opening statement was just a walk through what happened that night. And the common thread through all of that, of course, was the defendant's murderous actions.
Defense attorney Maloney chose to defer his opening statement until after the prosecution was finished presenting its case. Maloney's strategy was a deliberate attempt to handcuff the prosecution. Under Illinois law, the state is not allowed to counter an insanity defense until after it has been presented.
That's just something that I chose to do at that time.
Prosecutors began by calling to the stand nearly a dozen eyewitnesses to Kurt Thompson's rampage. Each told the court in detail about the shootings that left 3 people dead, among them Officer Adam Stryker.
We had eyewitnesses from the time that Adam was murdered to the time that the defendant was removed from Adam's squad car.
The prosecution also called to the stand a nurse from the hospital where Kurt Thompson was treated after the shootout with police. She testified to comments Thompson made during his recovery, comments that seemed to show a lack of remorse. Gary Smith, who covered the trial for the Peoria Journal-Star, says the testimony left many in the courtroom stunned. Referring to Janet Giesenhagen, one of the shooting victims, Thompson said this.
All she would have had to do was put on a tourniquet. He didn't mean for her to die.
And of 10-year-old Ashley Giesenhagen, who witnessed the murder of her parents, Thompson said,
he was sorry that the little girl had to see it, that she could have just covered her eyes.
After calling witnesses to describe the mass of physical evidence against Thompson, on July 23rd, the prosecution rested. To this juror, who asked not to be identified by name, the 4 days of testimony had painted a dark portrait of Kurt Thompson.
The eyewitness testimony was very effective in, showing Kurt's attitude, showing his movements.
During most of the state's case, Thompson sat quietly, wearing headphones to help his hearing. However, he appeared to be confident of an acquittal. His wife, Virginia, came to court every day, and Kurt would often give her the thumbs-up sign. So far, the defense had done little to challenge the prosecution's evidence. Now, as attorney Matthew Maloney began presenting his case, the court would finally hear the insanity defense that many had been expecting. In his opening statement, Maloney told the jury that Thompson had mental illness so severe that he was unable to control his actions.
He said that they were going to prove that Kurt Thompson was insane, that near the end of his statement, he said, you're going to have to decide, was Kurt Thompson insane, or was he really just a mean son of a bitch?
To make the case for insanity, Maloney called to the stand several residents of Toulon who told the jury stories of encounters they had had with Thompson over the years. One incident involved a friend of Kurt Thompson's who had found his dog running loose and returned it to Thompson's yard when he wasn't home.
One of the neighbors told Kurt that his friend came by the house with the dog catcher. Based upon that information alone, not knowing why they were there, Kurt Thompson didn't speak to his friend for at least 5 years.
Maloney argued this testimony painted a vivid portrait of a man with a long history of mental illness.
When you put all of the stories together, then you begin to see this pattern of very, very strange, very, very different behavior. The type of behavior that you don't expect to see from anybody.
To describe what was medically wrong with Kurt Thompson, Maloney called to the stand the experts who had examined him. One testified that Thompson was the most severe case he had ever seen.
In all of his years of administering this particular type of testing, he had never seen a test score that even came close to this. It showed that Kurt was so terribly paranoid and so terribly insane.
Maloney maintained that Thompson's mental illness was severe enough to trigger paranoid delusions.
Thompson was known to use frequently common phrase, the powers that be. It was a sarcastic, bitter phrase to refer to people who all his life he felt looked down at him, a sort of monolithic force of people that literally were out to get him.
Defense doctors testified that when Officer Adam Stryker came to Thompson's house the night of March 22nd, his years of paranoid delusion finally boiled over.
From his delusional standpoint, he is going to eliminate that thing that is threatening him. He insisted that Thompson believed that When Adam Stryker came to the door, that was the powers that be that were there. They were coming to get him. They were coming to harm or kill him and his family. He believed that the only way he could defend himself was by fighting back with lethal force.
On July 28th, Maloney rested his case. But the trial was not yet over. Prosecutors, who thus far had not been allowed to address the issue of Thompson's mental state, were now able to respond to the insanity defense. In their rebuttal, they called their own psychiatrist, who testified that while he believed Thompson was paranoid and antisocial, he did not meet the legal definition of insanity. On July 30th, after 8 days of testimony, both sides made their closing arguments, and the case was sent to the jury.
I think the big issue for us was never, did Kurt do these things, but did Kurt do these things as a sane, rational person, or did he do these things as an insane person? And the first night, we actually did not come to any agreements on any of the charges.
Under what circumstances should police be allowed to arrest someone before a crime is committed? You tell us at aetv.com. On August 1st, 2003, in Dixon, Illinois, Kurt Thompson was awaiting the verdict in his capital murder trial. Prosecutors had argued that the murders of Jim and Janet Giesenhagen and Deputy Adam Stryker were calculated killings. The defense had countered that Thompson was insane when he carried out the crimes.
The legal definition of insanity, as told to the jurors on the case, was, to put in layman's terms, someone is mentally ill to the point where they do not understand their actions.
As jurors deliberated, they quickly decided that Thompson was not legally insane, but rather a cold-blooded killer.
To me, and the sense I got from the rest of my jurors, was that his acts were deliberate. Not necessarily planned, but definitely he knew what he was doing. You know, he was in control of his mental faculties.
After 12 hours of deliberations, the jury returned with its verdict. Kurt Thompson was found guilty of the first-degree murders of all 3 of his shooting victims. To the families of those victims, the jury's decision was a relief.
We were hoping that they would see through him and that all the games he played, that he knew exactly what he was doing, that he was an evil, cruel man. We were very pleased that it was guilty, just plain guilty.
3 days later, on August 4th, Thompson's sentencing hearing was held in the Stark County Courthouse in Toulon. He faced the death penalty. Testifying for the state were family members of Thompson's victims. Among them, the father of slain Deputy Adam Stryker.
He was murdered.
My husband got on the witness stand and proceeded to read his victim impact statement.
And at a certain point, he said, I don't understand why he had to die. He was only 23.
Kurt Thompson interrupted him and said, "Did you teach him any manners?"
Thompson's cruel taunts became one more issue for the judge to consider.
Judge Shore, in his sentencing, said he had tried everything he could think of to come up with mitigating factors to preclude the death penalty, and he could not.
On August 5th, Kurt Thompson was sentenced to death by lethal injection. After the sentence was delivered, the victims' families met outside the courthouse for a picture.
Kurt Thompson was known throughout the whole trial as the thumbs-up person. That's how he showed no problem to his wife. Thumbs up. He always thought he was going to get out of it. We decided that we were going to show him this is what the thumbs up really means.
Visitation and
Despite their satisfaction at the outcome of Thompson's trial, the Stryker family still struggles with the loss of Adam. And they still have questions they feel are unanswered. Chief among them is why Adam, a young cop, had gone to Kurt Thompson's house in the first place. He was new to the force, and yet he was allowed to serve a warrant alone on Kurt Thompson, a known troublemaker.
I'm not sure why he grabbed that warrant. We were told that that was his job in the evening to do that.
Stryker's superiors declined to comment to American Justice on whether the young deputy had been warned about Thompson. As for the Giesenhagen family, they too remain critical of how police responded to Kurt Thompson. They are especially frustrated that, in their view, authorities didn't do enough to address Jim and Janet's repeated pleas for help in dealing with Thompson's threatening behavior.
Too much was ignored. They didn't do their job. That plain and simple.
The justice system has been criticized that we should have done something sooner, and maybe this could have been prevented. I've been frustrated over the years because we've had a number of complaints on him, and by and large, people would rush to make a verbal complaint, but most of the time, people would not follow up when it came time.
I don't think people were afraid of him physically. They were afraid of his unpredictability and his volatility.
With residents unwilling to file formal complaints, authorities claim there was little they could do, despite Thompson's reputation.
I would be uneasy around Kurt, but in the same breath, I would have to say that there's still a lot of people living in the county that I'm just as uneasy with. I treated Kurt like I would treat anybody else in Toulon, even though he was a big asshole. Excuse me.
Still, Sheriff Dyson admits that he feels some responsibility for what happened to Jim and Janet Giesenhagen and to his deputy, Adam Stryker. Just weeks before the shootings, Dyson himself had an opportunity to execute the outstanding warrant on Thompson, but chose not to do so.
I think I feel a lot of responsibility in a big way. You know, if I would have arrested him that day, what would have happened? He was still my responsibility. So yeah, I feel responsible for it.
Maybe the law enforcement should have been more aggressive and assertive. But the whole community has to take some responsibility for the fact that Kurt wasn't reined in and was able to murder these people.
In January 2000, citing errors in the justice system, Illinois Governor George Ryan declared a moratorium on executions in Illinois. 3 years later, he commuted the sentences of all death row inmates in the state and led a charge for new, fairer rules in capital cases. Kurt Thompson's was one of the first cases to be tried under those new rules. In August 2003, when Thompson was transferred to the Illinois State Penitentiary in Pontiac, he became only the second inmate on the new death row in Illinois. For American Justice, I'm Bill Curtis.
So they can just stay there until we got room for them. Bring them over one at a time. Okay.
This is Sean, a videographer.
If he's just got little bags of weed, say, oh man, I'm not looking for that. You know, I'm looking for some, some X or some doses, whatever you want to say.
Hey, I took care of you guys.
But, stay away from that.
Tell everybody.
Once the deal is done.
Thank you.
No fucking way.
Yeah.
Hell fucking way.
Oh, great. That's a kid that...
What's that? I'm north area. Tiki.
That's pretty knocked out back.
Yeah, I'll swing back by, check that out again. Cool, man. I haven't seen this for a minute.
Trim's way better.
Get the same one. Hey, let me move over to the side before you open that up.
Thank you.
How about that?
All right, well done.
Hey, pretty girl. I gotta go find my, the one that belongs right here.
Kind of hard with me wearing like a skirt.
Hey there! What's happening?
Kind of creepy.
Molly, this is what Molly is, our form of ecstasy. Want to test Molly? Can. Just test this one, it's got something on it.
Besides the dick on your back, what else you got?
Journey head, or what's the head?
Oh, that's a Grateful Dead.
Grateful Dead.
Hey, Tony.
AKK.
You got the other stuff, the cell phone stuff?
Oh, here.
No. The forearm.
AKK.
Is that your body did? Any other tats? Any other tats?
No. Fireman, fire chief, or whatever.
You want to get a booking form with that?
Yeah.
Dad's still living? They're still alive? Both of them, or they're both deceased? Okay. Brothers or sisters?
Yeah, they're here.
Yeah, I'll be back tomorrow. I don't want to lose that.
He tried to ditch it too. We'll start doing this.
You need to go in this week. You need to go in.
They're coming in a lot quicker than I expected.
That's the best tattoo of the day. I sent him a month.
You won't beat that. You will not beat that. He said it's just a marker. Come on, I'm not going to be nice with you. Just tell me what it is.
I mean, it's supposed to be acid. Are we doing fine?
He has one on everyone. So if we need the one off the hand.
Stop calling it and shampoo. The best thing is for your hair is washing it. Be right back. Black people don't know it. White people have very piece of hair.
John! Oh no, John's pulling. John's pulling the. John's pulling. Hey, he knows you're competing against. You understand?
Let me go get a bag.
I might see if Dale can run back to my office and grab my phone.
Yeah, they gotta. How are you? Brian. Hey, sir. We're waiting on those. What I
I did a bunch of stuff. Just write on a piece of paper and staple it.
Yeah, exactly. My testicles got jammed up in them shoulder pads.
They've got the oath. You tried to hand it off. Did you not get your own thing? Yep. ECS, TA, that's fine. Hey, was that Kelly with 1 hour? 2 hours. 2 hours.
God damn, it's fucking hot. Oh my god.
That girl that you're walking with is a little fucking sunburned. You little bird.
Pussy. I just got up here again.
It's not worth it, man. It's not worth it.
Let's wait.
He thought, well, and I couldn't tell.
Oh, I know, I'm sorry. I'm just moving, I'm sorry. I mean, I am.
get me tomorrow, okay? Peoria County.
Well, 60 of the bond.
They think it's gonna be Tuesday or Wednesday. Yeah. No, but like, can you show up tomorrow?
Boy, you ain't busy?
The chef.
Huh? Was ready to go up there?
Yeah.
You got 6 more pills on it. You got more pills on you, dude? I read it. Okay, because you had 6 more when I was talking to you. Where's the other one? I don't have it. What happened to them? I know you didn't sell any more from the time that you left me from the time that you grabbed the hoodie. I mean, what'd you do with the other 6?
I don't have any.
Where is it? Then what'd you do with them? You drop it? You're not answering the question.
They've got to be out there if they're all in these because I don't have it.
Oh, he didn't drop anything or nothing. He had nothing in his hands. We snatched it right away.
He had 6 more in his hands. Well, he didn't cooperate out there, so.
No, not at all. What'd you say they were?
Heroin.
It's heroin.
Hey, put gloves on. I don't know. Well, they'll stretch certain at the county. Hey, Randy. See Joe Boone? That's eight. You paid by once again.
I just seen him when I was going to ask him, but I got interrupted.
Make sure people are around when you say it.
Okay. So we can be mad at me.
Is it real though?
Well, we'll find out. That's yet to be seen.
Twice on death for the arrest.
9599. 9599. We get result up.
Turn the neck up a little bit.
Nobody can remember by tomorrow anyway. Are you kidding me? Yeah, you wear the same clothes.
Danielle was like beyond herself.
No,
I was gonna wear this to work.
lock.
She's like, they're gonna make fun of you so bad. I'm like, honey, you don't really understand the people that are there. She's like, there's no way they're dressed like that. I'm like, I'm gonna try.
They got double locked somehow, and
Need to go
I didn't have.
I took one before I left home. I'm like,
Picture. Right there. Hopefully that answer's still no.
if not, we'll go get one of them. They'll sniff it out like a bird.
Yeah. We have 9. I got gloves. Oh, I got gloves. I'd say He was dropping that shit like that. He's flipping back over. So you don't know what's going back in there. I'd say the whole thing. Sorry.
I guess Rhiannon and Kelly McAllister, why wasn't she charged?
She was.
She's on our witness.
On her arresting him, she was all delivering him.
Thanks, Pete. Put a damper on.
Is that real guys?
That's not, oh, that is my bad, yes.
That's not legal.
Everything's gonna pull out the 4-3s?
I'm just asking you.
No, it's not.
What you want to keep on pass?
I'm just taking.
I work here.
Department, you were conscious and everything, correct?
Yeah, I'll just take everything. Crawford, do you think I need my flash drive? Crawford, you need my flash drive? You need my flash drive? Yeah. So we gotta make sure we follow it, because some of the agents won't be here. So what's the floor? I know.
I thought they were going to download the photos later.
Like a big old hunk of pit.
You sold it there, yeah.
Tired of this shit. It's all right.
You laughing at, fat ass? Huh?
Oh, why are you gonna be fat when Brady's sitting right there?
You are fat.
Wow.
You walk your happy ass over here doing it.
Bob.
Got a surprise for you.
You said that's test it.
Okay, you're charging the LSD. We need to test this for anything reason.
We'd send it.
Which is the last. You got something charging it. This is my oath. I got my oath like this.
And there'll probably be some in, you know.
Okay, thanks. And he's got Coke. He had Coke in the money.
In case you're falling asleep, in case you get too tired, you know. You can't just be all downered out all.
He's got a green tie-dye Star Wars shirt on, passing the basket back and forth.
And he's got
When you go down, you know that trail where I was explaining to you? And it jets off to the right and it goes back out there. That's where they're staying right off to the left, so we're gonna go by there, see if he's still got the brownies out. If he does, we'll go, to there. But there's a lot of those people around there too, so be careful.
Right.
So, but
You know the bands that are playing tonight, so you don't get burned, right?
no,
He said the last group, the guy goes, "What bands are playing tonight?" And they're like, "I don't know." He's like, "You're fucking 5-0, then get out of here." So, yeah.
I know Mo. Mo, I think, might be.
Mo-
Oops, I did it again.
So, Josh, do you play with the Creeper Ramblers? Very cool. Yeah.
First plate comes out for just a second.
You asked about a lawyer. Now, you do have a right to a lawyer, but if you say you want a lawyer, then I'm done talking to you. I'll tell you, the other guy said that all the drugs belong to you. All right, he says it was sitting on his
is on the table next to him. He was smoking a cigarette. It's all yours. And the money was in his briefcase. Okay, that's the reason I want to talk to you. Okay, that's the reason I want to talk to you. I want to get a statement from you. If you don't want to give me a statement, that's fine. Go to jail. Well, you're both going to go to jail, but if you at least want to give a statement opposite of what he does, then that's okay. Okay. Did you stay on the ride? Guys camping together? Unless you want it, you want it.